Hello learners, welcome to Drishti CUET undergraduate program and I am Shashank welcoming you all in today's session. Learners, in today's session I will be discussing with you one of the most important topics of Indian economy, and that is inflation, and it is a topic which is being covered in macroeconomics section. So first of all guys, in today's session I will be discussing the topic of inflation, and inflation, it is also known as necessary evil. So inflation, it is called necessary evil. Why I am saying so it's a necessary evil? Because if the inflation it is in controlled stage, so this will generate employment, and if it becomes uncontrolled, then it will create unemployment situation. Therefore guys, it is also known as, therefore it is called necessary evil. If it is in controlled way, so it will increase the employment opportunities, and if it becomes uncontrolled, then it will create unemployment situation. So how it creates employment situation, how it creates unemployment situation, that we are going to discuss in today's session in detail. So let's start with the session. First of all, let's begin with the session. First of all guys, if I talk about inflation, what does this word means? So first of all, we will start with the basic etymology of the word, or basic meaning of the word, ki what exactly is the word inflation. So my dear learners, first of all, the word inflation is derived from a word inflate. So the word inflation, it is derived from the word inflate, and inflate means to expand. Inflate means to expand. And now you might be thinking ki what exactly expands in the condition of inflation, ki what exactly expand in the condition of inflation. So the thing that expands in the condition of inflation is the supply of money. So is the supply of money in economy. So what exactly expand is the supply of money in an economy. That means guys ki your overall salary, whenever it is the situation of inflation, that increases. How it increases, I will tell you, do not worry about this. So first of all, the inflation word is derived from the word inflate, and that means to expand. And what exactly expands? So that is the supply of money in economy. Now guys, let's come to the basic definition of inflation. What exactly is the inflation? So first of all guys, if I talk about inflation, it is a situation in economy where there is sustainable increase in the price of goods and services over a period of time. So what exactly inflation is? It is a sustainable, it's a sustainable increase in the price of goods and services over a period of time. So for a particular period of time, or for a overall period of time, if there is persistence means sustainable or regular increase in the price of goods and services. Sustainable means persistent. Persistent increase in the price of goods and services over a period of time, this is known as inflation. So this is called inflationary condition. And in inflation guys, what happens? The price of the product and services, or the price of the goods and services, rises. So what exactly happens in inflation? The price of goods and services increases. The price of goods and services increases. Now guys, see what happens exactly. So first of all, it's a persistent increase or a sustainable increase. Let me give you an example to understand this. For example, if you visit vegetable market in your locality, and when you go to vegetable market, you ask for a particular vegetable, for example, let's say onion. So you ask you what is the price of onion. So the shopkeeper or the vegetable seller told you that is 20 rupees per kg. So you purchased onion and came back. You went another day, then you asked again from that same vendor or some different vendor what is the price of onion. So the vegetable seller said that now it is 22 rupees per kg. Then you may not say that, you will not say that okay, there is an inflation in the price of onion because it has been increased by 2 rupees. It has been increased by 2 rupees. So what I will do, I will purchase less with the same price. No, it is not that. And another day when you again visited the same place, then it was saying that it is now 19 rupees per kg. So do not say that ki now the price of the onion has inflated and now it is deflated. No, you cannot say like this. Reason is this: it is not the persistent increase, it is not the regular increase in the price of onion for a period of time. If the price of onion keeps on increasing over a period of time, let's suppose 4 months, 5 months, then you can say that there is inflation in the price of, there is inflation in onion. So if it starts increasing, for example, today it is 20 rupees and you visited after 4-5 days, now it became 25, now it became 30, now 45 and 60. So then you can say that there is a persistent increase in the price of onion. So you can say that inflation has came in onion, but you cannot say if for 2 to 3 days the price has been increased, now it came back to the original price, so there was inflation in the price of onion. No, not at all. So first of all guys, it is a persistent increase in the price of goods and services are intangible goods, and services what they are? So services, they are intangible goods that cannot be touched physically. Intangible means that can't be touched physically. That can't be touched physically. So inflation, it is a situation in economy where there is persistent increase in the price of goods and services over a period of time. I hope it is clear to all of you. Now guys, what happens exactly in the inflation? So whenever there is a condition of inflation, it means the person will purchase less quantity in the same price than earlier. So whenever guys there is a situation of inflation, either you will pay more or you will purchase less. So whenever there is a situation, whenever there is situation of inflation, whenever there is situation of inflation, either you will pay more or purchase less for the same price than earlier. Either you will purchase more or either you will pay more or purchase less for the same price than earlier. Now what I mean to say by this statement, whenever there is a situation of inflation, what happens? Either you pay more or you will purchase less. Let me give you an example to understand this statement properly. Now guys, take an example of take an example of a sweet. Now for example, there is a very famous sweet in the market which is maximum time acceptable, that is called Kaju Katli, Kaju Barfi. Take an example so that you can correlate easily, therefore I am giving this very common example. Now guys, earlier the price of Kaju Barfi, earlier it was, for example, 700 rupees per kg. Now guys, due to inflationary situation, now it has become 800 rupees per kg. So earlier it was 700, now it became 800 rupees per kg. Now if you want to purchase 1 kg of Kaju Katli, if you want to purchase 1 kg of Kaju Barfi, say either you have to pay 800, either you have to pay more, either you have to pay 800 if you want to purchase the same quantity. So whenever there is a situation of inflation, for the same quantity, either you will pay more or purchase less for the same quantity, than earlier. So what you will do, either you will pay more. Now guys, the price has increased by 100 rupees, now it is 800 rupees. Now if you want to purchase 1 kg of Kaju Katli or Kaju Barfi, either you have to pay 800 rupees, so either you have to pay more for the same quantity. Now if you do not have that much of money to pay 800 rupees, then what you will do, you will tell the shopkeeper to give Kaju Katli of 700 rupees, then you will purchase less. So my dear situation, whenever there is an inflationary condition, there are two options available with the customer or the consumer, ki either you pay more or you pay less, or you purchase less for the same quantity. Earlier guys, you were paying 700 for this 1 kg of Kaju Barfi. Now since the due to inflation the price increased, now the price is 800 rupees. If you want to purchase 1 kg of Kaju Barfi, either you have to pay more, that means you have to pay 800 now, or either you will purchase less. Or if you have 700 rupees, then you can say that okay, give me the Kaju Barfi of 700 rupees. That means it will be less than 1 kg. It will be less than 1 kg. Therefore, my dear learners, whenever there is a situation of inflation, either consumer they have two options, either you pay more or purchase less. Is that clear to all of you? Now, I told you that inflation is a necessary evil, because if it is in controlled stage, then it will create employment, and if it becomes uncontrolled, then definitely it will create unemployment. So why inflation is called necessary evil? Why inflation is called necessary evil? Let's discuss this thing. First of all guys, whenever I talk about the income of a individual, whenever you will see the income, what exactly happens? There are 2-3 components in income. So one of the components in your salary, once you will get into the service, you will get salary, and one of the components of salary is daring allowance. This is called DA, and in Hindi it is called महंगाई भत्ता. In Hindi it is called महंगाई भत्ता. Now whenever there is a situation of inflation, what happens, my dear learners? So the price of goods and services increases. That means overall the price of goods and services increases. Now whenever there is a situation of inflation, what happens? The daring allowance increases, and when the daring allowance in the salary component increases, what happens to your salary? Overall salary increases. That means you will get more salary. That totally depends कि what exactly is the ratio of the inflation and your daring allowance. That is a different way. कि ये आपको समझना है कि आपका महंगाई भत्ता कितना बढ़ा है, वास्तव में महंगाई कितनी है, उसमें उसका क्या रेशियो है, that is totally a different thing. But what I wish to say कि whenever there is a situation of inflation, the daring allowances increase, and when the daring allowance increases, what happens कि your overall salary increases, and once the overall salary increases, what will happen? You will demand more goods and service. That means your demand will increase. Now what happens, my dear learner, कि once you will demand more goods and services, the manufacturer will try to meet your demand. So the manufacturer will increase the production, and once the production is increased, definitely they are going to deploy more labor force. So once the more labor force is deployed, then what will happen? The people, they will get employment. So when inflation, it is in controlled way, when it is controlled, it will generate employment, and generation of employment is a good thing, because the demand of the people will increase. Since their salaries increase, what they will do? They will try to purchase more goods and services. So the demand of the goods and services will increase, and the supplier, in order to meet the demand, what they will do? So the supplier, in order to meet the demand, they will increase the manufacturing, and once the manufacturing will be increased, then the people who are involved in this productional activity will get the job. So employment will increase. Now guys, what happens कि when the inflation becomes uncontrolled, that means there is too much inflation. Now once there is too much inflation, what will happen? the price of goods and services will go very high. Now what will happen, my dear learners, once the price of goods and services goes very high and the people and the demand of the people, now the people will see if the price of goods and services gone very high, what they will have the option. Either they will stop consuming the things or they will reduce the consumption if it is necessary item. Then what they will do, either they will decrease the consumption or either they will stop the consumption. If the consumption is decreased, guys, then it will be two things. If the consumption is decreased, guys, what will happen? If the consumption is decreased, what will happen? So consumption is decreased, guys, then the company that they will not be needed that much labor force, they will not be needed that much labor force. And once they will not be needed too much labor force, what will happen? So the employer what they will do? So the employer, they will reduce the labor forces, and once the labor forces, guys, it is reduced, what you will find? Once the labor forces is reduced, then definitely there is a situation of deflation. There is a situation when it becomes uncontrollable, then what will happen? Ki finally there is a situation where the price of goods and services will start, when the people, they will not demand the goods and services, so their demand will reduce, and once the demand will reduce, then the employer, they are not going to have that much of labor force, so they will start curtailing the labor force. So what will happen? Ki it will lead to unemployment. So once it is uncontrolled, this will create unemployment. An unemployment situation, it is a bad in economy. Therefore, guys, it is called necessary evil. If it is controlled, then definitely it is going to increase the employment, and if it is not being controlled, then it will create unemployment condition. Is that clear to all of you? Is that clear? Now, so this was about the inflation, introduction of inflation. Now guys, let's come to the next thing, that is about the types of inflation. Now let's come to the next thing, that is about the types of inflation. Now let's come to the next thing about the types of inflation. Now guys, if I talk about the types of inflation, generally there are three types of inflation. Two of them, that is very much known to you, third will be new for some of you. Now the types of inflation, first is demand pull inflation, second is cost push inflation, and third is price power inflation. So first is demand pull, second is cost push, and third is price power inflation. Now guys, what exactly they are? So now let's discuss what exactly they are. First of all guys, that is demand pull inflation. The name suggests itself, demand pull, that means increase in the demand, less in the supply. So guys, what exactly is the demand pull inflation? So the demand pull inflation is when the demand of the product exceeds the supply. So that means that the demand is more and supply is less. The demand is more, supply is less. Now what happens? That the manufacturer, in order to gain profit, the manufacturer in order to get profit will increase the price. The manufacturer, in order to get the profit, will increase the price. And the manufacturer, in order to get the profit, will increase the price. And once the price is increased, guys, definitely the inflation will come. So that is called the demand pull inflation. When the demand of the product exceeds the supply, that is called demand pull inflation. Now what will happen guys in demand pull inflation? कि the manufacturer in order to get profit will increase the price of the product. So that is called demand pull inflation. Now guys, there is an example like in situation of war. Let me give you an example कि in situation of war, what happens कि generally price rise happens. So price rise happens. And why this price rise happens guys? Because the demand of the product increases whereas the supply is limited. So demand is increased, demand is increased, whereas demand is increased and supply is limited. Therefore guys, the price rise happens. Therefore price rise happens. So this situation, it is called demand pull inflation. Generally in the situation of war, that you can see, that is the price rise. Next is the cost push inflation. Cost push inflation guys, when the cost of the production or the factor of production increases. So when the cost or the factor of production increases, and the inflation that comes due to the increase in the cost of production or factor of production is called cost push inflation. So that happens when there is increase in the cost of production and the factors of production. Now see how it happens. See, there are 4 factors of production. First is land. From land you get rent. From labor you pay wages, salary or remuneration. Third is capital. You pay interest. And entrepreneurship. What you get profit. Now guys, what happens? The rent increases. For example, the rent increases. Now the labor forces, they are demanding more wages, salaries. Then bank increase the rate of interest on the loan provided to you. Now guys, these 3 factors increased, and these 3 factors increased. Now when these 3 factors are increased guys, there is a problem before you. The problem is that now you have to increase the profit margin so that these 3 factors can be managed. Now before an entrepreneur, there is a serious problem that if that entrepreneur will not increase the profit margin, or profit margin, how it will be increased? This will increase when the price will increase, then only the profit margin will be, then you will get the profit margin. So in order to increase the profit, my dear learners, what the producer will do, what the manufacturer will do? So manufacturer will increase the price of goods and services so that they can meet the first 3 expenditures. That is land, labor and capital expenditure. So in order to manage land, labor and capital, so what happens? In order to manage land, labor and capital, what will happen? So what will happen? The producer will increase the price of goods and services. Therefore this profit can be attained because entrepreneur works for profit. And if the profit will not be attained, then how the business will run? So if the profit is not being attained, then how the business will run? So in order to run the business, what exactly has to be done? That is to increase the price of goods and services. Is that clear? Is that clear, guys? Is that clear? So in order to maximize the profit, in order to gain the profit, so that the entrepreneur can continue the business, what the entrepreneur will do? Entrepreneur will increase the price of goods and services. That means in order to get the profit to continue the business, the the businessman or the producer will increase the price of goods and services. So finally this is known as, then the cost of production will increase, and once the cost of production will increase, the overall cost will increase. Therefore when the overall cost of production increases, and due to which the inflation which comes, that is called cost push inflation. So cost push inflation always comes when the cost of production increases, and this is how the cost of production increase. Is that clear to all of you? So the entrepreneur, in order to run the business, that you can see that the entrepreneur, in order to run the business, will increase the price of goods and services. Therefore the inflation that comes is called cost push inflation, and the inflation that comes due to this thing is called cost push inflation. Now guys, first of all, there is a component in the cost push inflation. This is called wages inflation. There is a component in the cost push inflation. This is called wages inflation. So what exactly is the wages inflation? So wages inflation is that inflation that arises due to the increase in the wage of labor force. So the inflation that arises due to increase in wages of labor force this is called wages inflation. Now see, for example guys, let's make the rent constant. Let's make capital constant. That means that the rent has not been increased, the bank has not increased the interest on the capital, that means the loan that you have taken. So what will happen, my dear learners, if the rent wages is not being increased, but the labor forces they have decided to demand more wages. So what will happen? Again the overall cost of production will increase, and once the overall cost of production will increase, then also that will lead to the increase in the price, and due to the increase in the price due to labor forces, then it is called wages inflation. So wages inflation always comes whenever there is increase in the price of goods and services because of the increase in the wages. So that is a part of cost push inflation, that is not a separate type of inflation. So there is a part of cost push inflation, it is called wage inflation. So that it arises due to the increase in the wages of the labor forces, that you will find that generally happens in the cost of when you see the cost of sweets. When the cost of sweets they are increases, that is the food item. So what you will find that now they have increased their labor force wages, so due to which the price has increased. You must have heard saying the manufacturer कि भाई अब मजदूरों की कीमत बढ़ गई है, मजदूरों ने अब या जो उसके लेबर फोर्स है जो उस प्रोडक्ट को बनाते हैं उन्होंने अपना रेट बढ़ा दिया है। तो मजदूरों ने जब अपने काम करने की लागत बढ़ा दी है और उसकी वजह से जो इन्फ्लेशन आ गया, तो दैट इज कॉल्ड wages inflation, and if the wages is increased, then overall cost of production will increase. So that is called the wages inflation. It's not a separate type of inflation at all, it is a part of cost push inflation. I hope it is clear. Next is price power inflation. Price power inflation guys, it is the inflation when the price of the when the producer increases the price of product since it has not been increased from the longer time. So when the price of the product is increased by the producer on the reason that it has not been increased from the long time period, then it is called price power inflation. Price power inflation you must have seen. Let me give you a very common example so that you can correlate easily. Now you must have seen Parle-G biscuit. That is a very popular biscuit and it is everyone has eaten this biscuit with tea and it's a very popular biscuit. And what used to happen, my dear learners, ki when I was kid, around when I was in class 5th 6th, at that point of time it used to come for 5 rupees and 100-gram packet was there for 5 rupees. So that was their rate. Now guys, for the same rate that persistent for a very longer time period. Now what you have seen ki they have not increased the price, they have decreased the quantity. Earlier they used to give 100 grams, now they are giving 250 grams or something. So what they have did, so they have not increased the price but they have reduced the quantity. Reason was this ki though it has not been increased from a longer time period the price. Same type of things that happens with the milk that is the Amul or mother dairy milk. So what happened ki for a longer time period the price of the milk was not being increased. Now the producers, now the management of the mother dairy, Amul and all the milk producing companies, they decided to increase the price of the product and they gave the reason ki why they are increasing, because it has not been increased from a longer time period. So when the price of the product is increased by manufacturer on the reason that it has not been increased for a longer time period, then it is known as price power inflation. Best example can be the Parle-G biscuit. Now at that point of time it was 5 rupees for 100 grams, now only they are giving 250 grams for 5 rupees. Then also there is a profit margin, because earlier you were giving 100 grams, now you are giving 250 grams. Earlier you were giving 100 grams, now you are giving just only 50 grams, not 250, just 50 grams, not 250, pardon for it. Earlier they were giving 100 gram of Parle-G biscuit for 5 rupees or not for 10 rupees. Now they are giving what? So that same they have increased the price. So what happened ki they have increased their prices. If for 100 grams that was used to be 5 rupees, 5 rupees, now they have increased for the same 100-gram packet to 10 rupees. Reason was this ki they said that ki the price of the biscuit has not been increased from a longer time period. Therefore they decided to increase the price. Ki earlier 100-gram packet was given for 5 rupees, now same 100 gram with the same quality, now they are giving for 10 rupees. So there is increase in the price. So that increase in the price, that is called price power inflation, because it has not been increased from a longer time period. Is that clear to all of you? Is that clear to all of you? So you will find that, let me give you an example of Parle-G biscuit. Earlier it was 100 grams of for 5 rupees. Now the same 100 gram it is given for 10 rupees. There is no change in the quality other than this price of the milk, like mother dairy, Amul. So price of the milk, this is the best example of price power inflation. So is that clear guys to all of you about what exactly is the price power inflation and why it comes? It comes because the price of the goods and services has not been increased from a longer time period. Is that clear to all of you? Is that clear to all of you guys? Okay, so this was about the demand pull inflation, cost push inflation and price power inflation. Is that clear, guys? These are all the three major inflation. First two you must have heard, everyone. That is demand pull inflation, cost push inflation, but for some people it will be new, that is price power inflation. Now guys, first of all, now let's discuss what exactly is the effect of inflation on a common person. So I am not talking about the effect of inflation on a super rich community. I am talking about the effect of inflation on a common person. Reason is this, guys, since the super rich community, they have amount to pay whatever the price of goods and services increases, and if they need, they have the capacity to pay. So I am not talking about super rich communities, I am talking about the general perception, that is the general people. So what are the effects of inflation? First of all, guys, there is increase in the purchasing power of the customer. So purchasing power of the customer increases how? Because whenever there is an inflation, the daring allowance increases. I am not talking about how much increases, only I am talking about it increases, but at what proportion it increases, I am not talking on this. So just it increases, I am not talking on this how much it increases. So whenever there is an inflation, the daring allowance increases. Now whenever daring allowance increase, the overall salary increases, and when overall salary increase, the person who is the customer also for the market will demand more goods and services, and once the more goods and services is demanded, then the purchasing power of customer increases. The purchasing power of the customer increases. Okay, I hope it is clear. Let me just give you a very simple example. Now guys, you all are in the phase of study, so your parents must be giving you money, pocket money, since you are in the study phase. Now guys, what happens now you start, and the pocket money is limited. For you. So if you want to purchase, for example, jeans, if you want to purchase a pair of jeans, now you can set for semi branded, like you can settle yourself for the Cobb, you can settle yourself for the Rich Look brand, which are semi branded, which are medium branded things. Or sometimes if you do not have that much, you can set up for the non branded items also. You can set yourself on the non branded item as well. That totally depends upon the pocket money. Now guys, once you get into the job, you started earning, will you settle for this non branded items? Will you settle for the non branded items? Your answer will be definitely no. You are not going to settle yourself for the non branded items. Now you will start finding a pair of jeans from Levi's, which is an international brand, and other branded items. Why? Because now your purchasing power has increased. Earlier you have also the purchasing power, but now what happens since you get into the job, your purchasing power increased, because now you are earning more money than earlier your parent used to give. So that means for the pseudo way you were earning, that is not real way, that was your pseudo earning. Now you are earning by yourself, so what happens, you will demand more. So once you will demand more, so you will settle for the branded items. So once the inflation comes, overall salary will increase. I am not talking about if your salary is increased by 3%, you can purchase a very branded item, your very branded things. So not talking of this. So what will happen, your overall salary will increase, and once the overall salary will increase, you will demand more. Therefore guys, the purchasing power of the customer increases whenever there is a situation of inflation, because DA will increase, overall salary will increase, and once the overall salary will increase, you will demand more. Is that clear? Now, next is the saving of the customer decreases. Now what happens ki saving of the customer decreases. Whenever there is a situation of inflation, what will happen? Ki now you have to pay. So in the situation of inflation, what happens ki either pay more or purchase less. Purchase less. So there is a two situation that comes ki whenever there is a situation of inflation, what you have to do? Either you have to pay more or purchase less the same quantity, the purchase less the any product. Now what happens guys, if the product is essential, if the product is essential, if the product is essential, so what you will do, you will not curtail, you will not curtail consumption, but will pay more, but will pay more. Now once you will not curtail the consumption but you will pay more, definitely then you have less savings than earlier. So what happens? The savings of the customer decreases. The saving of the customer decreases. Is that clear? What happens? Ki the saving of the customer decreases. Is that clear to all of you? Ki whenever there is a situation of inflation, the savings of the customer decreases. Third is purchasing power of the money decrease. Purchasing power of the money decreases. So whenever there is a situation of inflation, purchasing power of money decreases. That means ki you will purchase less on the same price, purchase less quantity on same price. You will purchase less quantity on the same price. How? Let me give you that same example. For example, if you want to purchase Kaju Barfi, earlier price was 700 rupees kg. Now it has, due to inflationary situation, now it is 800 rupees kg. Now if you want to pay 700, so if you are paying rupees 700 only, then you will purchase less quantity, that means ki less than a kg, for 700. So that means what? The purchasing power of money decreased. So that means what? The purchasing power of the money decreased. Is that clear guys? Ki now with the same amount you will purchase the less quantity. Now with the same amount you will purchase the less quantity. Is that clear to all of you? Is that clear to all of you guys about this? Okay, what happens with whenever there is a situation of inflation, what are the effects? So purchasing power of the customer increases, saving of the customer decreases, and the purchasing power of money decreases. Purchasing power of money decreases, that I mean to say that the person will purchase the less quantity on the same price. So earlier it was 700 rupees kg, now it is 800 rupees kg, and now if you want to purchase Kaju Barfi for 700, definitely you will be getting less than a kg. So definitely you will be getting less than a kg. That means ki the purchasing power of the money decreased. That simply means ki the purchasing power of the money decreased. Is that clear to all of you? Is that clear to all of you guys? Okay. Now I hope it is clear to everyone. Let's come to the next thing, that is the methods to calculate inflation. So let's discuss the methods to calculate inflation. Now guys, there are two methods to calculate inflation. One is called WPI, that is called Wholesale Price Index, and second is CPI, this is called Consumer Price Index, and CPI, it is also known as Retail Price Index. This is also known as Retail Price Index. So what exactly is WPI and CPI, that we are going to discuss. First is WPI. So first of all guys, Wholesale Price Index, it is the rate of change in the price of goods over a wholesaler's level. So rate of change in price of goods at a wholesaler level. Goods means simply goods, it does not include services. So goods means only goods, not services are included. Services are included. So goods will include only goods, they will not include services. Reason is this, my dear learners, ki you cannot purchase services in bulk. You can purchase goods in bulk, for example rice, for example any other cereal, oil seeds, that you can purchase minerals, but you cannot purchase services in bulk. So first of all, my dear learners, ki the WPI, it is the rate of change in price of goods without including the services at wholesalers level, because you can purchase goods in bulk, you cannot purchase services in bulk. So that is called Wholesale Price Index, and the data of WPI is related, it is released by DPIIT, that is called, so that is DIPPT, so that is DI, so that is DIPP, so please rectify it, that is DIPP, that is Department of Industrial Policy and Promotion. Department of Industrial Policy and Promotion, so that is Department of Industrial Policy and Promotion, and it is released on monthly basis, you will find. And this guys, Department of Industrial Policy and Promotion, that if I talk exactly, so it is Office of Economic, so this is Office of Economic Advisor, DIPP, under Ministry of Industry, Ministry of Commerce and Industry, under Ministry of Commerce and Industry. So the data of WPI is released by DIPP, that is Department of Industrial Policy and Promotion, and this is under Ministry of Commerce and Industry. So this releases the data, and the base year, it is 2022-23. Now guys, the earlier base year of WPI, earlier base year of WPI, what it was, so the earlier base year of WPI was 2011-12, and you will find that guys ki the committee headed by Professor Ramesh Chand, so on the recommendation of committee headed by Professor Ramesh Chand, on the recommendation of the committee headed by Professor Ramesh Chand, who was member of Niti Aayog, it was decided to change the base year from 2011-12 to 2022-23. So on the committee headed by Professor Ramesh Chand, that decided that now the base year of WPI should be changed. Earlier it was 2011-12, now it became 2022-23. Is that clear to all of you? Is that clear to all of you guys? And the calculation of the WPI, it is based on guys 697 commodities. So the calculation of WPI, that was based on 697 commodity. Now 697 commodity, it is divided into three parts. One is called primary articles. Primary articles 117 commodities, fuel and power 16, and manufactured items 564. So this is the segregation. And if you will see percentage wise, so out of this 697 commodity, primary article contributes 22.62%, fuel and power 13.15, and manufactured articles you have 64.23. So this is the contribution percentage wise. And primary articles, it is also divided into two parts. One is called food items, and another is called non-food items. Food items and non-food item. Food items that included cereals. Example can be cereals, paddy, then you have the wheat, meat and fish. So these are food items. Non-food items like oil seeds, crude oil, crude oil, minerals. Primary articles are those articles guys that you get directly from the nature. So primary articles are those articles, my dear learners, that you get directly from nature. So primary articles, those articles that you get directly from nature. Fuel and power, this is also written F&P, fuel and power, like those through which those items you can generate power, like diesel, petrol, aviation turbine fuel. These are fuel and power. And manufactured articles, that is called industrial articles. So manufactured articles called industrial articles. I hope it is clear. Manufactured articles called industrial articles. Is that clear? Now guys, see, in WPI guys, you will find two types of thing. One is called headline inflation. Headline inflation is the change in the value of goods in the basket. So first of all guys, there is called headline. In WPI you will find headline inflation. Headline inflation guys, it is the rate of change in goods of the basket. Rate of change in price of the goods in basket. Rate of change in price of goods of the basket, it is called headline inflation. So headline inflation guys, it is the rate of the change in goods in the basket. Other than this guys, next we have called the core inflation. So core inflation is headline inflation minus food and fuel. So next we have called core inflation. So headline inflation minus food and fuel. So headline inflation minus food and fuel, it is called core inflation. Why food and fuel they are subtracted? Because the price of food and fuel fluctuates rapidly. So the price of food and fuel, why food and fuel? Because the price changes frequently. Because the price changes frequently, therefore it is called food and fuel. Therefore it is called food and fuel because the price changes frequently. Therefore it is called food and fuel. Is that clear to all of you? Is that clear to all of you ki why food and fuel is separated? Because the price changes frequently. So that is called that in WPI you will find headline inflation and core inflation. Now guys, what is the use of WPI? Exactly guys, the WPI finds the overall inflation in the economy. So inflation in economy as a whole is focused by WPI. So WPI focuses. So WPI focuses the inflation in economy. Inflation in economy as a whole. So inflation in economy as a whole is focused by WPI. Now guys, earlier RBI plus Government of India, they used to formulate their monetary policy, which is did by RBI, fiscal policy, that is in the form of budget, that was being formulated through WPI earlier, not now, earlier. Now guys, on the recommendation of Urjit Patel committee, that was committee that was constituted in year 2014, and Urjit Patel, earlier he was deputy governor, later he became governor of RBI. So he was governor of RBI before 𝗕cie𝘂𝗃𝗧. So he was 24th RBI governor, Urjit Patel. So when Urjit Patel resigned because of his personal reasons, so then 𝗕cie𝘂𝗃𝗧 was given the charge of RBI governor. So earlier guys, what used to happen ki whether it's Government of India or RBI, they used to take the data of WPI for calculating the inflation, while formulating their monetary policy and fiscal policy. So earlier this WPI was used for calculating inflation for monetary policy and fiscal policy because it focuses the inflation in economy as a whole. Because what it does, it focuses the inflation on economy as a whole. Now guys, what happens ki from 2014 on recommendation of Urjit Patel committee, in 2014, what happened ki RBI and Government of India started using CPI in place of WPI. So what happened guys ki now on recommendation of Urjit Patel committee, and Urjit Patel was 24th RBI governor and he was former deputy governor of RBI when Raghuram Rajan was governor. Raghuram Rajan was 23rd governor, then Urjit Patel became 24th, 𝗕cie𝘂𝗃𝗧 became 25th, and now Mr. Sanjay Malhotra is 26th RBI governor. So when Raghuram Govind Rajan, he was RBI governor, so Urjit Patel used to be the deputy governor of RBI, and he has did very good work on the poverty elevation also. So when Urjit Patel became the governor, before this he was deputy governor, so then the committee was formed under him, and that recommended that now the Government of India plus RBI, they should not use WPI for calculating the inflation. Instead of WPI, they will start using CPI, because CPI is the more accurate method of calculating the inflation, because it includes services, plus rate of change in the price of goods and services at consumer level. Because you will find that guys ki the ultimately the person who is affected by inflation is the consumers. Therefore you will find that ki that was being used. Then therefore on recommendation of Urjit Patel committee, finally WPI was replaced by CPI. So now Government of India plus RBI, they uses CPI for calculation of the inflation in the economy. So is that clear to all of you guys? Then do let me know. Is that clear to all? Is that clear to all of you? I hope guys, is that clear to all of you? So this was about the wholesale price index, that is WPI. Now guys, let's come to the CPI. Let's come to CPI, that is consumer price index. Now guys, what exactly is the consumer price index? It is the rate of change in price of goods and services. Product means goods and services at consumers level. So rate of change in price of goods and services at consumers level, it is known as CPI. Because guys, the person who is most affected by inflation, that is consumers, and the price of the goods in wholesaler level is different, at consumer level or retail level it is different. So it is also known as retail price inflation. Retail price inflation, reason is this my dear learners, because the purchasing habit of the people, because the purchasing habit of people it is in retail, not in wholesale. Therefore the rate of change in the price of goods and services at consumers level or the retail level, it is calculated through CPI, and CPI and CPI includes goods plus service. CPI that includes goods plus services. So CPI includes goods and services. Now guys, first of all, if I talk about the CPI, this data is calculated by Ministry of Labor and Employment and MOSPI. MOSPI, it is Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. I hope it is clear. First of all guys, now CPI, what does it include? So now let's discuss the component of CPI. Okay, what is included in CPI, what includes in the goods and services? First of all guys, it includes food and beverages, because the things these are being used, food and beverages. Second, then housing. Then you have the clothing and footwear. Then you have fuel and light, fuel and power, and power includes the electricity as well. Then you have miscellaneous. And miscellaneous includes education. So services came, healthcare, then transport, communication. So that all are included in CPI. So that all are included in CPI. Is that clear to all of you? Now CPI guys, it is the data is published by Ministry of Labor and Employment plus MOSPI. Now CPI, it is calculated on 4 bases. First is CPI AL. This means agricultural labor. And the base year for calculating CPI AL and RL. RL means rural laborer. So the base year of calculating CPI AL and RL is 1986-87 because guys there is not too much fluctuation in this level. Next is CPI IW. This is industrial worker. Industrial worker. So CPI IW, the base year is 2016. So the base year is 2016. So for different, we have different base year. Next we have CPI URC, that is CPI urban, CPI rural and CPI combined. So CPI combined is the CPI of urban plus CPI rural. So average of CPI urban plus rural, that is called CPI combined, and the base year of CPI urban, rural and combined. Base year of CPI urban, rural and combined is 2024, is guys 2024. Therefore, and this is used for calculation of CPI at a larger level. So you will find guys that this CPI urban, rural plus combined, this measures the inflation at national level. So this measures inflation at national level. This measures inflation at national level. So is that clear guys? That this measure inflation at the national level. I hope therefore this is being used, and therefore you will find the base year as 2024. In somewhere it is written 2024, but it is for the CPI are rural, urban and combined. Is that clear guys? Is that clear to all of you? Because this is used as the majorly this is used for the national level, therefore this is being used. Is that clear? Now what are the benefits of CPI? So now guys let's discuss the benefit of CPI. Now the first benefit is monitor the rise and downfall in the price. Monitor the rise and downfall in price. That is used in policy formulation. Policy formulation by Government of India plus RBI. So this is used in the policy formulation by Government of India plus RBI. So there you will find guys inflation. It is being rate fixed at 4% plus minus 2%. So inflation have to be maintained 4% plus minus 2%. So that is being taken care of. Other than this guys, it is used for the rise in salary pension in government sector. So it is used for the rise in salary plus pension. So whenever guys there is increase in the rise in the salary plus rise in the pension, that is being calculated through CPI. Therefore it is called retail price inflation also. So Government of India uses CPI to calculate the inflation for rise in salary or rise in pension, or it provides the consumption trend and economic health. So it provides insight for consumption trend and economic health. So this provides the consumption trend plus economic health of the country. So this provides consumption trend and economic health for the country. So is that clear to all of you? Is that clear? Now see, this is about the WPI and CPI. So this is about the WPI and CPI, my dear learners. Now guys, let's discuss the next thing about methods to control inflation. Now guys, you cannot remove inflation, because once you will remove the inflation, there will be no price rise. No price rise means no profit. No profit means stop the manufacturing process, because the producer, they works, why they will work? So the producer, they will work to earn profit when they will produce goods and services, and when there is no inflation, there is no rise in the price of goods and services. And this is practically not possible. This is not practically possible in the condition where there is government interference is moderate. So once you will see, during the time of the medieval India, when during the time of Alauddin Khilji, and also when the price of the goods and services, all it was fixed by the kingdom or the sultanate, then only that was possible कि there is no inflation. And if guys there is no inflation, definitely the producer will stop producing the goods and services, because they will not earn profit, and finally the production will stop, and then the condition of chaos will start. Therefore guys, you cannot end inflation, but you can control inflation, because as I have told you in the starting of the chapter, if the inflation is controlled, then it will increase, then it will generate employment, and if the inflation is uncontrolled, then definitely it is going to create unemployment opportunities. Now what are the steps taken by how to control the inflation? So guys, there are three ways to control the inflation. First of all, the steps that is taken by Government of India, then RBI, and then other steps. Now first of all guys, you should think if this type of question comes in exam, how you are going to handle. First of all, see whenever there is a condition, whenever there is condition of inflation, what happens? Money supply increases. In economy. Now if you want to reduce inflation, what you have to do? You have to reduce the money supply. You have to reduce the money supply in economy. Now if you want to reduce the inflation, what you have to do? You have to reduce the money supply in economy. So try to find, if the examiner asks you the question which of the following is a method to control inflation, if you do not know the answer, first of all guys, what you have to do? You have to find the tools through which the money supply in economy gets decreased. So just you have to find the tools where you have to reduce the supply of money in economy, so then only the inflation will be reduced. So now guys, let's discuss how this thing can be done. First of all guys, the steps taken by Government of India. First of all, the Government of India, if increases the tax, the tax is compulsory monetary obligation, and since it is a compulsory monetary obligation, my dear learners, so you have to pay more money, so you will left with less money, therefore you will purchase less, less quantity of goods and services, definitely if you have less money, then definitely the inflation will increase because you have curtailed the money supply. Money supply को कम कर दो, inflation automatic control हो जाएगा. So if you have less money, then you will demand less goods and services, so the inflation will get controlled. Next is demonetization of currency. Although it's not a good step, but it can be taken in a very crucial condition, just to demonetize the currency, like 2000 earlier, 2000 earlier 1000 rupees was there and that was being demonetized. So once demonetized, guys, you will find that less money is available in market, less money is available in market, so purchasing power will decrease because there is less money in the market, so purchasing power will be decreased. Although demonetization is not taken as a good step. All next is steps taken by RBI. What RBI can do? RBI can increase CRR, SLR and repo rate. So if RBI increases CRR, SLR and repo rate, then bank will have to pay more interest. So bank will deposit more and pay more interest to RBI. So loans will become loans. RBI will give the loans will become costly, and once the loan will become costly, guys, what will happen? Once the loan will become costly, then you will pay, then less loan will be taken, that will reduce, less loan will be taken and will reduce money supply in economy. Other than this, guys, if the government increases, if RBI increases the rate of interest on saving schemes, so if RBI increases the rate of interest on saving schemes, what will happen, guys? Since the India is a saving prone economy, so the people in India, they believe more in saving rather than investment. The people of India, they believe more in saving rather than in investment. So what will happen? So they will take money from market and will deposit in the bank. So they will take out money from market and will deposit in banks to get more interest. And once the money is taken out from the bank, what will happen? So once the money is taken out from the bank, the money supply decreases. Once the money is taken out from the bank, the money supply decreases, and once the money supply decreases, what will happen? So inflation will be reduced. So this is the way to decrease inflation. Just try to find the methods through which the money supply can be reduced. That will be the method to control inflation. Other method is population control. Population, if it is controlled, so less will be the demand, less will be the supply. So once the population is controlled, demand is controlled, and then less supply will be needed. So demand supply mismatch will decrease, so that this inflation will be under control. Next is making demand is equal to supply. So that is not practically possible. You can make demand equal to supply. So when the demand supply matches, then there is no condition in the rise of price, and then the inflation will be controlled. So this is how you can control the inflation. Is that clear, guys? This is how you can control the inflation. Is that clear to all? Oh, okay. Now guys, let's come to some other definition that is needed to understand this. First is stagflation. What exactly is this stagflation? So stagnation plus inflation, it is called stagflation. That is slow economic growth, slowdown in economy. This is stagnation plus high rate of unemployment. So high rate of unemployment, this is the bad impact of inflation. So slow economic growth plus high rate of unemployment, this is called stagflation. Next we have disinflation. It is the situation to decrease the inflation by reducing money supply. So if RBI increases the rate of interest, plus if the government of India increases the taxation, so what will happen ki the money supply will be reduced, and once the money supply will be reduced, that will be called as disinflation. Is situation to decrease the inflation by reducing money supply. Other than this, you can demonetize the currency. So this is way to reduce the inflation. Reflation that happened after COVID-19. It is an act of stimulating economy by increasing money supply and reducing the taxes. So guys, what happened during the time of COVID, when there was a acute shortage of money because the productional activity was almost stopped. So there was no productional activity, the factories, the places, they were closed. So what happened guys, when they will started unlocking, so when the country was in the phase of unlock, so what happened, the government of India reduced the taxes to increase the money supply, because once the taxes will be reduced, the people will have money with them. When the taxes they are reduced, people they have money with them, the people will spend money in the market for purchasing goods and services. So production will increase, so the inflation will be, so the economy will be re-stimulated. Other than this guys, next we have recession. Massive contraction in economic activity for a longer time period. So for almost a year or 1.5 years, when there is a massive contraction in economic activity, that is called recession. Deflation guys, in inflation the value of the purchasing power of money decreases, and in deflation the purchasing power of the money increases. The value means purchasing power. Value means purchasing power of the money increases. Next we have skewflation. Skewflation guys, it is an act of economy where the price of few goods increases at a faster rate as compared to others, like the price of oils. Earlier guys, what used to happen, the price of oils and vegetables, especially the onion, they increased at a very high rate as compared to the other products. So that is called skewflation, where the price of goods, of few goods or services, they increased at a higher rate as compared to other. So when the price of few goods they increase at a higher rate as compared to other, like the price of petrol, or the fuel items, so that increases at the higher rate as compared to the other. So that is called skewflation. So it is a situation in economy where the price of few goods increases at higher rate as compared to other goods. So is that clear to all of you guys, what exactly is the skewflation? What is skewflation? It is clear to all of you? Is that clear to all of you guys? So this was about the other important definitions that is related to inflation. So guys, with this I conclude the session of today, and I hope you must have found the session interesting and informative, and through these major chapters they are very much necessary for your CUET examination, because what I have seen, especially in general aptitude test, that is GAT, in the GK and current affairs section, if the examiner asks the question from economy, they always touch macroeconomic section. So they always gives the question from macroeconomics, like RBI monetary policy, like inflation, like you have 5-year plan, that is a very crucial topic for CUET UG examination. Then monetary policy, 5-year plans, they always ask from these chapters, because through this they can broadly test your knowledge about the subject. So guys, with this I conclude the session for today, and let's meet in the next session to discuss the another one. So that was all for the day. Thank you everyone.